how do you know what stage of Meniere's you are in? So, for example, someone who has a low frequency hearing loss, which would be a symptom of stage 3, but only recently started having vertigo symptoms. Does that give an indication of the stage?
Okay, so one thing about Meniere's disease is that there are 4 symptoms, but the order of appearance of these symptoms, there's no pattern. So, and that's what makes the diagnosis so difficult, because some people can have tinnitus as the first sign, and that's it. And after a while, they develop some fullness in the ear, and then they notice a hearing loss. And then after a long time, they have an attack of vertigo. And that's when they take notice. The attack of vertigo is usually what brings people to medical attention. So how do you know which stage you are? The hearing loss is usually the mark, if you like. So when you're in the first stage, the hearing drops only in the low frequency. So I'll go back to my slide, so just to show you, because that's very, so now, here. So when you're in the first stage of the disease, the hearing drops only in the low frequencies. So if you look at this graph, so you have 250 hertz is a low pitched sound, 8 kilohertz is a very high pitched sound. So we measure the hearing across the frequencies. So you can see that at this end of the graph, which is the high frequencies, the hearing is absolutely normal, like somebody with normal hearing that you see on the graph on the other side. So the hearing in the first stage drops at the low frequencies only. And the characteristic of the first stage is that the hearing goes back to normal. So there's this fluctuation that from time to time it goes back to normal. So that's how we know it's first stage. On the first stage, on the other hand, the hearing never goes back to normal. So the fluctuation occurs, but never back to normal levels. On the third stage, the hearing drops to a flat line at the bottom of the graph. And as I said before, we used to believe that on the third stage, hearing did not fluctuate. And for the person, you cannot notice the fluctuation because the hearing is so bad that you can't tell if it gets better or not. So this third stage, when your hearing is so bad that you cannot notice any fluctuation. But what we see in the clinic with several audiograms is that it still fluctuates. Not a lot, but it still fluctuates. And the fluctuation is dependent on fluctuation of endolymph in the cochlea.